Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Nisimade, Jaya Nisimade, Jaya Nisimade, Jaya Nisimade. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Bhakta Prahlad. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Okay, I'm just gonna stick it. Jai. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 29th chapter, verse 5 or? 4. Right. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, I want to recite a few prayers before reciting the Bhagavatam. Narayana namaskrityam namanchaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasa tato jayo udiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God at Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Shrimvatasvakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Ridyantasanya Bhadrani Vidunoti Suritsatam. Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nasta prayesva bhadresu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati utamashloki bhaktir bhavati naishtuki. By regular attendance in classes of the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. In loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So today we have text 4 from the chapter 29, explanation of devotional service. Kalasyesvara rupasya pare samcha parasyate svarupam bhata kurvanti yadeto kushalam jana. Kalasyesvara rupasya pare samcha parasyate svarupam bhata kurvanti yadeto kushalam jana. Kalasyesvara rupasya pare samcha parasyate svarupam bhata kurvanti yadeto kushalam jana. Prabhus? Svarupam bhata kurvanti yadeto kushalam jana. Okay. Kalasyesvara rupasya yadeto kushalam jana. Kalasyesvara rupasya pare samcha parasyate svarupam bhata kurvanti yadeto kushalam jana. One more. Kalasyesvara rupasya parasyante svarupam bhata kurvanti yadeto kushalam jana. Okay, word for word translation. Kalasya, of time. Ishvara rupasya, a representation of the Lord. Paresam, of all others. Cha, and. Parasya, the chief. Te, of you. Svarupam, the nature. Bhata, O. Kurvanti, perform. Yat heto, by whose influence. Kushalam, pious activities. Jana, people in general. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Please also describe eternal time, which is a representation of your form, and by whose influence people in general engage in the performance of pious activities. Purport: however ignorant one may be regarding the path of good fortune and the path down to the darkest region of ignorance, everyone is aware of the influence of eternal time, which devours all the effects of our material activities. The body is born at a certain time, and immediately the influence of time acts upon it. From the date of the birth of the body, the influence of death is also acting. The advancement of age entails the influence of time on the body. If a man is 30 or 50 years old, then the influence of time has already devoured 30 or 50 years of the duration of his life. Everyone is conscious of the last stages of life, when he will meet the cruel hands of death. But some consider their age and circumstances concern themselves with the influence of time and thus engage in pious activities, so that in the future they will not be put into a low family or an animal species. Generally, people are attached to sense enjoyment, and so aspire for life on the heavenly planets. Therefore, they engage themselves in charitable or other pious activities. But actually, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, one cannot get relief from the chain of birth and death, even if he goes to the highest planet, Brahma Loka, because the influence of time is present everywhere within this material world. In the spiritual world, however, the time factor has no influence. Chaitanya Manobishtam Snapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganara Gunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpata Rubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shadvaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripa tamaham bande Shri Guru dinataranam. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, the deliverer of the fallen souls. His mercy turns the dumb into eloquent speakers and enables the lame to cross mountains. I would like to humbly request your blessings so that I can speak something meaningful today that may be relevant for growing deeper into your spiritual life, and that can purify my heart so that I can be more and more a servant, insignificant servant of Krishna and his dear devotees. So today I will read the translation again. Please also describe eternal time, which is a representation of your form, and by whose influence people in general engage in the performance of pious activities. Yesterday, when I read the verse, the first time, I immediately thought how amazing it is every time when I have to speak about a verse. It's always so relevant to my time, place, and circumstance in life. And eternal time is such a interesting topic because it's very difficult for us to grasp even what that means. The word eternal, or anything that is beyond what's connected to the senses, is something that is very unique to the soul, something that we can only experience by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, of Narasimhadev. And Prabhupada says something very interesting, the purport. Those that consider their age and circumstance, they become aware of the time and how to use time properly, so in a more conscious way. So becoming conscious of our situation is always the first step before we can actually become conscious of Krishna, actually become conscious of our relationship and our service to Krishna. And I was praying to Srila Prabhupada, and I was like, what can I speak about today? Because all these topics, they go beyond my mind, beyond my ability to use my senses to understand them, so it's very transcendental. And I put on a lecture of Srila Prabhupada, and it was amazing how he was explaining exactly the process of understanding our situation and how to use time properly. I always used to watch some videos how to do time management, or how to adjust your schedule in such a way that you can be efficient. But both time and management, they are Krishna. We cannot even manage our own, just keeping ourselves alive. If he wants to kill us at any moment, it's just a snippet of his hand, or not even. It's like just his will is enough for us to lose all capacity and leave our body, actually, or everything is absolutely his will. Not even a blade of grass moves without his sanction. So it's really fascinating. Another aspect to be in nature and observe, when the wind blows, and really feel that nothing really happens in nature, and what to speak of in our life without his sanction. So he was explaining how there are 3 different ways of understanding time. And he said, so there are, of course, the most important thing to look at is the guna, which guna one is situated on. So there is karma yoga. So the first level, and it doesn't speak about the activity of karma yoga. It speaks about how when our consciousness is identified with our body. So it doesn't matter if we are in the temple or outside, when the consciousness is connected to the body, I am this body, I am the surrounding, then automatically the activities in karma yoga, action, reaction. Then the moment that we engage in jnana yoga, so in studying and concentrating on understanding, becomes immediately mental speculation or imagination. It's very interesting that it calls it imagination, because that's part of jnana yoga, to really try to understand, but in the process of trying to understand, we can just imagine, but we are not really connected to the real thing. And then the last way how we can utilize our time is in bhakti yoga. And bhakti is devotional service. And in order to perform devotional service, one needs to understand and connect with prayers, connect with hearing and chanting, connect with the genuine desire in our heart. So one time it was asked to Srila Prabhupada, how can I improve my chanting? And he said, you need to be eager. You need to be eager to hear, you need to be eager to chant. And this is a way how we can understand how we are progressing in our spiritual life. It's like we can, many times is not so easy to understand. Are we doing our service properly? Are we really making progress in our spiritual life? And an element that Prabhupada mentioned in order that we can understand if you're moving forward or not is how much our heart is becoming eager to hear his message, how much our heart is becoming eager to chant, to repeat his message. And this is a very good skill. They make us understand, like, after we perform our service, do we feel, okay, now I need a holiday, or do we feel like, I would like to chant more today, or I would like to offer more prayers? And this is a very good way that I can very honestly and humbly say that often for me it was not the case. I would perform some service and then there would be so much frustration and I would feel like, okay, I need a break from everything. Like and this is a sign that we were not actually concerned on really pleasing Krishna, but we were just doing our dharma, like karma yoga. And karma yoga means that we need a break from time to time. Karma yoga means that we just engage in the body platform. And very interesting, he spoke about dharma, like the dharma of a snake is of biting. The dharma of the microphone is of increasing the volume, expanding the sound. And the dharma of karma yoga is sense gratification. The dharma of jnana yoga is imagination, speculation. And the dharma of bhakti is to really awaken the dormant relationship. Awaken the dormant relationship, because sometimes we speak about faith, having faith in Krishna, having faith in God, but faith is something that you can wake up one day and be like, oh, maybe today I'm gonna worship Ganesh, or I'm going to go to another mat. You know, faith can be changed, but Dharma, he explained, Dharma is they are the laws of God. You cannot just wake up one day and be like, oh, I'm not going to perform. Dharma is something that is part of our soul, and according to the nature that we are associating with, it's part of that particular law. So it's very refreshing to remember, actually, Krishna consciousness is not just a faith, something that I'm trying to believe on, but it's something that is purifying all my misconceptions so that my eternal source can express itself and can develop that love and expand it in this world and be an instrument of that pure essence that we all are, that is in everything, in every atom. There is a soul, and Krishna is in that atom, and we are part and parcel. We are same in quality. So the soul has an amazing potential, is an amazing power that is reawakened the moment that one remembers that his essence is part and parcel of God, is part and parcel, and being engaged in service to that Supreme Lord. And so Dharma, it's something that is very important. I was researching that verse that explains that we need to perform this Dharma. We cannot just say that, oh, I am not, I don't want to perform my Dharma, I just want to serve Krishna. Still, we are influenced by these modes, and still, it's very important. And it's funny because Krishna says, perform your duty nicely, but you're not entitled to the fruits of action. Make sure when you serve you bring good results, but never consider yourself to be the cause of the results. And sometime you need to take a break, sometime you need to step back from your Dharma, but never be attached to not doing your duty. So it's very tricky. It's like when we perform Dharma, especially in Karma Yoga, there is so much austerity to be made. We want to enjoy, but there is so much austerity that one needs to be made, and so many limitations. But when one is able to pray, is able to develop the eagerness, Krishna, I really want to serve you, I really want to be your eternal servant, how can I please you? And genuinely feeling that, then he gives the intelligence, and there are no more of this so-called limitation. Don't enjoy the action, and don't perform the rituals in a certain way. There are so many rules and regulations that are so important. But ultimately, we should aspire. How can we serve? How can we really please in whatever we are doing? And sometimes, as a grihastha, or if you need to work outside, it becomes really difficult to really have that determination of, I am really pleasing Krishna with making money, or, it's really difficult sometimes to bring together these material activities that genuinely, maybe we want to do them for Krishna, but they are so entangling. It's really interesting how entangling material energy is, and it starts with a little step outside to be like, oh, I can do this service, and then it can become so entangling. That's why it's so important, sadhana, to daily step into that space of prayers, like we sing every morning and every evening, and really find the time, not just to recite the Sanskrit that is so beautiful, but to really understand the meaning. Please engage me in your service. Please allow me to serve you. We sing so many beautiful prayers to the spiritual master, but ultimately, are we really connecting to that mood of to really feel, to really understand, I am made of your mercy. This temple wouldn't be here without Srila Prabhupada. There wouldn't be much here in the West, especially without Srila Prabhupada. So it's really a great, great blessing. And another point that connected with serving Krishna, I was hearing a few days ago another lecture from my Guru Maharaj about Jai Shri Shri Prahlad Lakshmi Narasimha Dev Bhagavan Ki Jai. And I was really praying because I was going through some frustration regarding boundaries. Why is it so hard? Especially when you need to perform your duty and you know what you need to do, and somebody comes and asks you, oh, can you please do this? Can you please do that? Why is it so hard to just say no? Because you are engaged in your duty, and you know that you cannot expand yourself. So it's a very it's very humbling when one needs to say no, because it really, at least it made me feel really like I'm so useless. Like I'm so like busy, or I have I have so many service to Krishna. I cannot be there for all the devotees. I cannot just be there for everyone. It was so humbling. And I could not understand why do I feel so guilty to say no? Why do I feel so guilty to set boundaries? And I prayed to my Guru Maharaj, and I randomly put a lecture, and it was so beautiful because the first words he said was like, don't be sad when Krishna tried to humiliate you. And it really felt like that. It really felt humiliating to actually set my boundaries and to actually have better reason rather than to serve maybe devotees in need. And then he proceeded speaking about Keshi demon. Keshi demon was the last demon that was sent to Vrindavan before Krishna and Balaram went to Mathura. And the Keshi demon is a horse-like. He looks like a horse. And actually, one time, Srila Prabhupada asked to the devotees, what is the most beautiful animal? And the devotees were all proud to please Prabhupada, and they said, the cow is the most beautiful. And Prabhupada said, no, actually the horse is the most beautiful animal. And it was very interesting, very fascinating. And actually horses, they are very beautiful, they are very capable. There is quite some ego connected to a horse animal, a lot of pride also for people that owns a horse. Or so he was explaining that this demon was representing, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains, that each demon that was sent to Vrindavan is an anartha that a devotee needs to conquer before he can truly enter Vrindavan. And this demon represented the false illusion to feel that I am a good devotee, I am a good person, I am a good mother, a good sannyasi, a good preacher. And really that false identification that I am something better, that I am something that is amazing. And it felt really, it really went straight to my heart, because I was like, I'm trying so hard to be a good devotee. I'm trying, now my spiritual master is telling me, this is false ego, like we should even detach from just trying to be good, because ultimately the service to Krishna goes beyond everything. And so was really humbling, and this is one of I think one of the most important lessons, so that one can really become eager to chant Trinada Piso Nichenata Rora Pisa Ishnuna Manina Mana Dena Kirtaniya Sadahari. There is one to become more tolerant than a tree, more humble than a blade of grass. It's really, these are qualities that they're almost impossible to develop just by trying with our material senses. And this is the only way if we want to really achieve that eagerness to chant the holy name, that eagerness to develop that unflinching faith that the process is going to reawaken, is going to purify all these misconceptions. Are going to purify all these anarthas that they are just on the way. They're just blocking the expression, the expansion of remembering that we are pure, transcendental, Satchitananda souls. And even the form of Narasimhadev, he is Satchitananda Vigraha, his form is eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. He is never contaminated by our material, by the material energy, and even then, he allows us to serve him, to worship him, to massage him, to dress him, and he's completely beyond all of this. And Srila Prabhupada was saying, Mudha, when a person believes that the Lord is made of stone and earth, and it really takes some mercy to really understand. It takes some mercy to understand that this is so much mercy that we have received to be able to actually serve the Lord, and there is no difference between Archanam, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, all the processes of bhakti. There is no difference to what actually we perform. The importance is really that we do it in the proper consciousness, because otherwise, if we are associating with other modes, it will be just very, very difficult to perform devotional service. And one last point that I want to make is that, so there's different levels. Oh yeah, it's very interesting, because Prabhupada said the moment you are sincere to perform devotional service, you will have so many enemies. And I was like, what? How is it possible? Like, you're coming closer to Krishna and, everything should just be more and more beautiful. But actually, like, you will have so many enemies. And he started to speak about Prahlad Maharaj. You can say it was a test, but actually was not a test for him, because he was so devoted to Krishna, and his own father wanted to kill him when he was 5 years old. 5 years old, usually children, they hardly speak or manage to make proper sentences, but Prahlad Maharaj is such an example. He knew the whole scriptures, he knew everything about spiritual life, about service to Krishna, and he was so heavily chastised by his father, tried to kill him over and over again. And Prabhupada said, if you're actually sincere to serve Krishna, engage in these devotional services, you will have so many enemies. And he said it at least 2 times. And it really means, there are so many people that are going to be triggered. There are so many inside the community, outside the community. People don't want that somebody takes away their right to enjoy. And actually the reason why we are here in this material world is because we think Krishna didn't do a good enough job, to make us happy. We think like we can be happier by staying far away from him and just taking care, fulfilling all our desires. But so envy is what's keeping us away. And once we start to purify this root cause that is envy, so many envious people, so many enemies will come, and that will be the test for us to still stay completely fixed in our service and ultimately to not feel disturbance. I was speaking with my husband about it, and he looked at me and was like, what do you think our Guru Maharaj or Srila Prabhupada, did they, other people's critic or other people's problem, did it ever influence their spiritual service to Krishna? And it's like, no. Like, they receive so many criticism, so many gurus receive so many hardships, so many people criticizing them, putting them down, misunderstanding them, and still they're not even a small fraction disturbed by their devotional service. And this is the only way to really develop that understanding that the process is real. The process is what's gonna take us back to Krishna. And one time during this Kartik month, I was listening to the lecture of Indradyumna Swami, and one of his last lecture he gave in Jaipur, and he was saying how important is to, come to holy places and take the dust from the devotees. And when he was a young devotee, he was eagerly serving Srila Prabhupada, and at one moment he managed to get onto the same flight as Srila Prabhupada, and he was so happy. And he went through so many troubles just to get on that same flight and to have his association. And then they arrived in London, and Prabhupada could see that he was just trying so much to just be close to Srila Prabhupada. And then he went into his room, he paid obeisances, and then Srila Prabhupada, with a heavy hand, he just put it on his back and told him, in this material world, there are so many troubles, there are so many difficulties. But one day, I will bring you back to Krishna, and there will be no difficulties. There will be no struggles. And it's so beautiful that if we just keep going in our service, and we remember that Prabhupada has got our back, and our Guru Maharaj, then eventually we will be able to conquer all these struggles and really find shelter into service to Krishna, into chanting his names, into repeating his glories, and in this way dedicating each moment to please him and to please his dear devotees. And I had a little, by inspiration of Gopi Gita, I always had a little, not exercise, but like a little moment to think. And a little question for you. Okay, first of all, do you have any question, or would you like to make any comments?
It's just a short question. You spoke or emphasized this point of dharma, even overriding in one sense all faith. So dharma, could you explain more? How do I know what my dharma is? Or how do we know?
Okay. So dharma translates as occupational duty. And like I was saying before, and what Prabhupada was explaining, is that it depends on which mode you're associating with. So if you're associating on karma yoga, the dharma of being in that lower mode is actually sense gratification. So it's very difficult to serve Krishna in that mode. The other one is jnana. So by being in that space of mental speculation, again, this is like, it depends which mode, but ultimately there is the Sanatan Dharma, that is the Dharma, occupational duty of the soul to serve Krishna. And this is just by following the 8 limbs of devotional service, Shravana Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, and this will help us. Actually, also Srila Prabhupada one day wrote in a letter to Bhakti Tirtha Swami, if you would attend every morning Mangalarti, chant all the prayers, chant your rounds, offer prasad, always eat prasad, do the evening program. Just by doing this simple process, you will come back to me, you will come back to Godhead. So simple, and just stick to the process. And it's like there is no doubt about it. You will come back to Godhead just by, engaging in these wonderful services, chanting the prayers, and ultimately praying to please, let me be eager to serve you. Let me be eager to do these services, because this will help us to actually be happy also. Chant Hare Krishna and be happy. This is the Dharma in one sense. But would you like to elaborate a little bit more on this?
I think it's because I'm from Indian background that it's this dharma comes up a lot. And often they mean it more in regards to your job or what you could do, so you're a natural healer, for example, and then they say, okay, don't do this, go and sit in the office right now, Sri Manjari, and you're like, what? Or, like I spoke to someone of being a doctor, it's it's a very trained skill of what one needs to do, so it's in relationship to this. So it's very nice to understand Sanatana Dharma in this relationship, and also that you mentioned this point that actually so much falls on sadhana, like also from Srila Prabhupada. Yes, of course, the devotees worked extremely, extremely hard, but sadhana seems to have been in that way the basis, like you mentioned Mangalati and the programs and this, and we also emphasize reading, right? This element of taking it on. I think when one follows one's dharmic or dharma, then one is naturally in a flow. You see it, everything is in conjunction. It is not necessary that a doctor has to stop his daily occupation, but when that is offered to the Lord or done with devotion. I see many in England too, they keep it, they have a working day, but they still come to Mangalati. Mangalati, Prabhupada also had this 4-4-4-4 rule, with this chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, where he made it in between the times. So it was like a whole flow, like together. And this is also very amazing. And for me, in the temple, one sees is our biggest, difficulty or trouble, that we just haven't found the balance, right, of sadhana, really understanding that this is our dharma, and then the other things that are needed in our life. It's like a whole, it's simple in one sense, but it's complicated too. Yeah, and some people have it, Sometimes you look, especially some Prabhus, you say, oh wow, he's completely like this. You see, Gabriella, he looks so happy in the garden. Probably he could do for the next 20 years. I don't know, maybe it's not like that. But it's just natural for some people, So it's like our Amrita is natural with organization or management, if there might be another elements, and also cooking. There's two different balances, so to say, but it just is like this, like, to ask, like, that she baked a cake, and then my friends convinced me everyone can bake a cake, and I've baked quite some cakes now, at least 20, maybe at least, I had around 50% success rate, but one knows it's not dharma, you know what I mean? It's just, I have other things, so like this is a balance up, and to be open with it. Sorry, that was not the exercise. Oh, sorry, you have to do it.
Also reminded me, because it was very interesting. I was meditating on this, because karma yoga, is part of our dharma to engage in this material world, and it's very. It's the outcome is actually sense enjoy, meaning that you do something that it makes you feel good. And this is part of, doing what you have to do. Like, it means that if you do something, it makes you feel good, it's part of your dharma because it's in alignment with your service. So I just wanted to ask you a little question because the topic is about time. So if you could have a moment and just really feel like from 1 to 10, just honestly feel how much are we utilizing our time in service to Krishna. First feeling like how much actually time you're utilizing in service and how much time are we maybe utilizing in taking care of ourselves or like taking care of our body. Just really feeling, and then trying to also feel from 1 to 10 how much happy we are with how we are using this time in service to Him. To just really take a step and be like, okay, how is my life going so far, and how is time? Because time is so precious. Time is so precious. We cannot come back to this moment ever again. It's gone. It's gone. Every moment is like. So how are we utilizing it so far? And the quality. How is the quality of the time that we are utilizing it so far? And then I wanted to ask you, if you would like to speak, how can we understand in our own life if we are actually making progress or if we are actually stuck where we are? Spiritual life, yeah. Also in general, it can be very much connected. Just first rate it from 1 to 10. Usually it's so good to just give a number and be like, okay, I'm a 7, or could become an 8, or it's a 5. just the quality, and then the quality. Because sometimes most of you, I really believe you have very busy scheduled days, so I don't think there are low numbers in that. But then about the quality becomes always a challenge. And then according to how much the quality, if it's higher or lower, then we can understand how to maybe lower some parts or do less of some services and do more of other services. And then if you would like to share what is your compass to see like if you're doing, that makes you feel like, okay, I'm doing good, or some elements that make you feel like, no, this is a means that I am stuck, or it's not helping my progress. If it's clear, I hope it's clear.
So I made the experience that on like big festival days here in Simhachalam, the mood in general is so joyful and so enthusiastic, and devotees come from all around the globe sometimes, and they are just grateful to be here witnessing Adev. They are really grateful to come to experience these abhisheks, these beautiful yagyas, and with those people coming, and they sometimes have so much inspiration and like, okay, let me help something, I can also do something. You're automatically like kind of fired up, and you're like, wow, yeah, I just deep into this mood, and it's like a wave, these festival days, and you're like on the top of the wave, and you're just like woo, 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 and it's so joyful from morning to evening to be the whole day involved in service, and it really can fulfill your heart. And you jump into the kirtan and have nice prasadam if you have time for it, or you eat later, but then in the late evening, you are so tired that you feel your legs, you feel your arms, but you're happy. You're completely happy and satisfied. And you do not care that your legs are hurting and that you have so little sleep, but you're just on top of this wave and still in enjoying this whole atmosphere devotees create together. And then slowly the festival comes to an end, and it's like you like the surfer, you go down the wave, and at one point the wave is like coming to the beach, so there's no energy anymore you can dive on. So, and then you feel like the exhaustion, and especially like the inspired devotees, all of us are tired at one moment, and we are really tired. People, our guests are leaving, but we are here with the rest of cleaning everything up. So, and then you come slowly in the mood of, wow, I'm also tired, and I also don't want to do service anymore, but the part of cleaning up the festival can be as exciting as actually the festival itself. But mostly about this part, we are not so excited anymore, and like we are all trying to get our breaks, to like, yes, I'm more tired than you, and now you, please continue you with the service. I need a break now. And then we can easily come in the mood of, I don't want to say frustration, it's not that heavy, it can be of course, but you see the difference, like the festival, the energy is like really high, and everybody is like, yeah, service, here we go. So it's like a 10 of bhakti yoga, and then later it all slows down, so it decreases. And yeah, so for today, actually my mind is all about creating our kitchen for the flesh. So yeah, I said like my kitchen, but my husband told me it's not your kitchen, it's Krishna's kitchen. So I was like, okay, but maybe because my mood was like, this is going to be my first kitchen, and I will invest all my savings I have for this kitchen to make it nice. But yeah, if one like develops the consciousness into, wow, I'm going to create this beautiful kitchen for the Lord, and with this kitchen I have the chance to create nice, delicious feasts for Him, and I have the chance to keep this kitchen in a like super clean Brahminical standard kitchen, which my husband told me that he is making the rules, and where I can put what. So then it's it's the rate of devotional service goes up, and it's, I think, doing like planning this kitchen, for example, is a combination of devotional service and also personal satisfaction, because it makes my own sense gratification also happy. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
It's good. That is feeling like how much is going from. It's very humbling to be like, okay, now I'm serving, maybe giving lecture from 1 to 10. How much am I doing it fully for Krishna? It's like, it's very humbling to be like, I thought I was doing fully for Krishna, but then now that I think about it, there are more elements of my own sense gratification, and that's part of Dharma, and it's just good to be honest about it and keep us humble and striving for more surrender. Be like, everything is your, I'm detached, so I'm not. So it's good. Thank you for sharing, Amrita. Would you like to share more? Somebody? Okay. Yeah?
It was a nice question to think about, and I answered it in 3 parts with a number, because numbers come quick to my brain. Because when I first came to temple, it was like after the first 2-3 years, what do you mean? My whole life is devoted to the Lord. You know, go for program, do service the whole day, go to sleep, next day the same. And I was wondering why, because you also asked, when do you know if it's going well or not? And then it was only 2 years back, so after 8 years of pretty much running like in that direction, I was like, okay, something went wrong with my health. And I also remember feeling like I was in a bit of a desert, you know? Like this is how I hadn't managed to get to 40 without ever feeling like that. Not, you know, just always found something. And I was wondering what went on, and then it was this sort of introspection where I thought differently. Now, like when you ask it, it's nice because I can say, okay, my body around an 8, I would say. My heart around a 5. And my mind around a 2, you know? So this is in terms of devotional service, because one sees, okay, physically, when you're in the temple, it's much easier, devotional service, get yourself to the program, do things, da-da-da. Yeah, it's really like, and that's amazing, because like you said, it's difficult outside. But my heart, you know, somewhere along the way you realize, am I really giving it all over? Or is there something I hold back? And I realize, okay, whatever it may be, some part is in between, you know. And the mind, oh my God, like if you try to catch the mind, as they say, you know, during chanting, oh yeah, my perfect thing is, oh, I'm chanting so nicely. I'm like, oh my God, I'm chanting so bad, because all I'm thinking about is, oh, I chanted so nicely now. You know, so the mind is like a terror, So in this way, you know, I realize it's like this. You work a little bit on the self-love, because sometimes I see often the ladies in the ashram, oh, it's so terrible, I can't do it. And then it's like, okay, and I won't do it now. So you sort of stop the process, as opposed to trying to work on that mark. Okay, let me get that body, that, you know, okay, let me get it a bit higher. And then the mind, and for the body, like it was difficult because I thought, okay, I have children, how's that service? But as Amrita said, also with her kitchen and serving her husband, and also everything she makes there, I'm sure will become prasadam. So in that way, I think it was the wrong mentality. That, of course, when you live in a temple, there has to be a certain amount of temple service that has to be done. But actually, if we truly follow Sanatana Dharma, every part of our activity is in relationship to the Lord. Like some do, you know, as soon as you wake up, you pay obeisances. Not me, but like, you know, you should do it. Occasionally I do, but it's like I'm too much in another mode. As soon as we think of ourselves getting ready, even in the bathroom, thinking, oh, this is my preparation for the Lord before I attend Mangalati. That's why we come fully bathed and properly dressed, right? We don't just sort of, you know, tumble in, so to say. So every action that we put on this tilak that marks us, all of these different parts, if we see that as being engaged and it's perfect, then the body is easy. The heart, well, okay, we don't go there. And the mind, this is also, I think, quite easy and hard at the same time. I just see how the mind wanders so easily. As soon as I'm more overtired, which is often with children, okay, and bring it back again. So it's just the balance up of it. And in terms of difficulties, at that moment that I knew it was tough, then actually what helped at that moment was sadhana again, but in my way. You know, I had to get quality, attention back on the rounds. Yeah, try to chant with a baby or a toddler. Whoa, ha, ha. Your mind and another mind going. More than one kid, you have 3 minds on the run, right? So get that back on track slowly, at least a few rounds, and then more and more different activities to help. Sorry, did I race through? Because so many points that you raise, it's really nice to think about it that way. You have to also give your answers to this. Don't mind, you want to say? Shy.
It's very beautiful. Gopi Gita is including everything, and it's very important to be inclusive, include everything in the Krishna service, and really remember that everything we do is part of the service. And it's good actually to divide it, to be like, okay, how is my heart? And yeah, it's interesting that the first answer is like, oh, maybe, you know, I'm okay, maybe it's a 8. Then it's like listening a little bit more, oh, maybe it's a 7. Like it naturally just goes down, and I'm like, oh, I have to do a lot of work here. So it's very, the more time I spend thinking about it, just the numbers just go down and down and down. And it's like, and it's not because of, and again, this just makes me think of like, that's how we get caught up in like low self-esteem, because if we are honest, so many things in materially, it's just a struggle. They don't go so well. But I just feel every day, you know, it's a success if I, at least one thing, try to do it, just really, Krishna, just for your pleasure. I remember yesterday I had a long day, and I still had to do puja in the evening. And I was like, okay, Krishna, all day I was in my mind, just let me this little service, just this, just doing it for you, like please, you know, and then it's a success, you know, because I also feel like the mind is so tricky. You just give it a little bit, a finger, and it takes the whole arm and the whole body, and then you're lost somewhere in the space and time. So it can be demoralizing, like when we are like, when I am honest about.
But also the other way around, right? Just as we go out, when we have, you know, oh, I did this, I think we also owe it to ourselves to bring it back in. You know, like if the number goes, okay, I did this, but we have to be okay, like you said.
And then, yeah.
And we bring it back up again to balance. We're
Yeah.
not there to, you know, just to castrate us. We don't really.
Yeah.
Fine, okay, wow.
Yeah, and then remember the good things that actually we are doing.
Lord, you fulfilled today we read from Nature of Devotion, right? Just for us that we are able to take darshan.
Yeah, just to see the Lord. Yeah.
You know, just to because when you're in a
Yeah.
so many things actually, many more things maybe you can tick. You know, did it? You know, so the Lord.
Yeah.
For flowers by Srila Prabhupada, prepare obeisances. There's so many like.
Yeah. So many things we do. Prabhupada said, how long does it take to go back to Krishna? 1 minute. It's like just to like, you know, it's like even when chanting the round, it's like, if you can just hear nicely one month, even Hare, like if you can just one beat of the whole 16 rounds, you can really just be like, okay, this is for you, Krishna. It's a big difference. And we do so much. I mean, we are in front of Narasimha Dev, like Hare Krishna. We should be already completely purified. And remember, just by looking at him, our eternal relationship. But then it's a process, and to remember, be grateful that we are here on the process. Be grateful that we are holding on. We are coming closer. We are doing our best. Thank you, Gopi Gita. Really nice insights. Okay.
Yeah. Because by His mercy we are somehow here.
Yeah.
Who knows where else we would be? By His mercy we are here. Not so many of us. Very fortunate, I think.
Very fortunate. Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Narasimha Dev Bhagavan ki. Jai.
Very nice, lady in blue. Very nice. Okay, so.
Thank you so much for this one. I feel it's a little bit fun. I like to be politically.
Ja, nee, we saw you fanatic. Yeah. Oh my god, you're like Amrita.